everyone, good afternoon and welcome to this webinar on cultivating a greener future, sustainable practices in the nutraceutical industry, brought to you by Vitafoods India and Future Market Insights. My name is Niamh Michail. I'm Head of Publishing at Vitafoods, and today we're going to be hearing presentations from our two speakers, followed by a question and answer session. So our first speaker will be Rahul Rajmane, Associate Director of Research and Development at Cipla Health Limited. Hello, Rahul. It's a pleasure to have you on the webinar today. Rahul is responsible for development and sourcing new products for Cipla Health with a focus on nutraceuticals, drug, Ayurvedic, and personal care products. He has a Master of Pharmacy in Pharmacognosy and Phytochemistry, and he is also pursuing a diploma in Food Science and Technology. Our second speaker will be Nandini Roy Choudhury, Client Partner for Food and Beverages at Future Market Insights. Nandini has over 7 years of management consulting experience, and she advises industry leaders on their biggest opportunities and challenges, putting processes and operating models in place to support their business objectives. So Nandini, it's also a pleasure to have you here on the call. I'd like to say a few words before we start about the Vitafoods India brand. So Vitafoods has over 2 decades of experience operating in Europe, and it entered the Indian market last year in 2023 with huge success. So it remains India's only event that offers insights into the entire nutraceutical supply chain, and with over 5,000 attendees, over 100 exhibitors, and 12 educational sessions that are free to attend with 25 experts. It is the not to be missed event that happens in the nutraceutical and supplement industry. There are many reasons to join, to attend. So as I mentioned, we have the conference sessions. There is also a global trends zone where the latest innovative products are really highlighted and showcased. And the innovation zone highlights the latest breakthroughs and innovations in the industry. So Vitafoods India really is the gateway to the nutraceutical industry in India in terms of highlighting the best of Indian products and Indian ingredients, but also, how these ingredients can be used to cater to consumer trends in India and globally. So coming up very soon is Vitafoods India. It's taking place on the 13th, between the 13th and the 15th of February. So next month, it's happening at the Geo World Convention Center in Mumbai. And this is the event that is not to be missed. And for all attendees to this webinar, you can find a registration link in the chat box. So do be sure to sign up to this event. I'd like to say a few words now about our sustainability partner for this webinar, Future Market Insights. So FMI, Future Market Insights, is a business consulting and market research firm headquartered in Delaware, the USA. It's a member of the Greater New York Chamber of Commerce, and it collaborates with global enterprises in their business journey, helping them deliver on their ambitions by providing quality market research. So FMI counts 80% of the largest Forbes 1000 enterprises as its clients, and it has an impressive 75% renewal rate. It was also named Market Research Brand of the Year in 2015. So here we can see some examples of the specific research that FMI has done in the nutraceuticals sector. So we have reports and publications on nutraceutical excipients, gummies, ingredients, but also more specifically into probiotics, supplements for digestive health, supplements for protein. So really covering all the trends that can be seen in this space. And on the left, you can see a little bit about FMI's research process flow. So it goes from market profiling through to data collection, data validation, data analysis, and then finally the reporting. So FMI is also very active in webinars. So you can see here just 3 examples of some of its past webinars that it's taken part in, presenting on vegan finance, how to differentiate in the increasingly crowded plant-based industry, and the new normal in nutraceuticals, so unleashing nature's potential for optimal health. So I'm very pleased to have Nandini from FMI and Rahul with us today, our 2 expert speakers. Before we get started, I'd just like to go over some very quick housekeeping rules. So as you will all have noticed, the audience is muted and you will remain muted for the duration of the webinar. We will have an audience question and answer session, time permitting. If we don't manage, so please add your questions to the chat box. But if we don't manage to get through all the questions on the webinar today, then Nandini and Rahul will be taking the time to answer you by email afterwards. So don't hesitate to send in your questions. This session, this webinar is being recorded, and you will also receive a copy of the recording as well as Nandini and Rahul's PowerPoint presentation slides after the session. So thank you very much for your attention, for listening to me up to this point. And I'd like to now hand over to Rahul, who will tell us a little bit more about Cipla Health and its journey on sustainability. Over to you, Rahul.
Okay, first of all, thank you. Thanks a lot for such a nice introduction, and thanks a lot to Vitafoods and FMI for giving me this wonderful opportunity to talk on such a wonderful topic. So to begin with, I am working as you already gave my introduction. To begin with, Cipla Health, a little background or introduction. So Cipla Health is an organization of Cipla, or I can say it as another wing of Cipla, which is targeting only for the OTC kind of products. And in OTC products, majority chunk is nutraceuticals, like we have Prolite in Tetra Pak, then we have Endura Mass, then we have Maxi Gold, these kind of products in our basket. And we are expanding our food product or nutraceutical basket in coming year. So this is all from Cipla Health, and I'm working as an associate director in R&D team, and I'm responsible for development of each and every product which is get marketed under the banner of Cipla Health. So let me take to you to my topic. My today's topic is cultivating a greener future, sustainable practices in nutraceutical industry. So everyone is aware there are basically 3R concept, and I do not want to spend more time on the 3R concept because all the audience must be aware of 3R concept. So can you move on to the next slide, please? Okay, so as we see after even COVID, the nutraceutical industry is going at very fast pace in India. Though it's growing in abroad as well, but in India, we can see it's drastically growing at very higher speed. Now we can say it is growing at the speed of growth of the pharmaceutical industry, and that is almost a 10%. So I think there is lot of waste is getting generated in terms of packing material, in terms of unused nutraceuticals and all, and which is creating a kind of nuisance to the society. And hence I feel there is a strong need to have a sustainable products with sustainable thing. So we should give some positive thing to the society from our end, and hence there is a very strong need of today to have a sustainable nutraceutical products. So next slide, please. So basically I have mentioned about 3R concept. Now there is another thing, means we can look upon there are 4 different ways on which we can have a development of sustainable products in the nutraceutical category, or we can introduce a very good sustainable product to the industry. So first is environmental manufacturing, then second is green chemistry, and everyone is aware and entire world is talking about the sustainable packing material and its designing. And last one is how we can manage the entire supply chain of all the nutraceuticals to make a world or the product sustainable to the society. Next slide, please. So first point to be discussed here is environmental manufacturing. Now, what is environmental manufacturing? And if you see on the slide at right hand side, there is one stamp or logo. Okay, so what is this? I want to take you through all this. Means this is the first step of giving a nutraceutical sustainable products to the society. So as we all know, we have very big manufacturing plants like pharmaceuticals. In nutraceuticals also, we have very big plants, manufacturing plants, where we are getting lot many pollutions and other stuff, means unwanted stuff to the society. And means one of the references talk about it is approximately 55% greater than the automotive industry. So there is one organization formed in 1990s in the name of LEED. It's a Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. So what basically they are doing, so they are in collaboration with US NGO, non-profit NGO, Green Building Council. So if you look at this logo, there is an certification which we can get if our facility or manufacturing unit is utilizing sustainable sources of manufacturing. So this is about the out of India or abroad concept. But in India, LEED is tied up with the Green Business Certification organization, and they have offices all across the globe like China, Europe, Dubai, and Mexico. So what LEED does, so generally they have a rating system like what we have US FDA audit, we have some internal audits. They also do some audit processes, and they have developed their own matrices to evaluate the manufacturing plant, whether it is manufacturing the products as per the requirement of sustainability or not. So they basically verifies buildings design, construction, operation, and maintenance, whether all these things are source efficient or not. One sec, sorry. Okay. So by having this, no, okay, thank you. So by having all these things in place, the world's first manufacturing unit was developed by Pfizer in 2017, and they got this accreditation. So I think in India also we need to rigorously follow and try to get these kind of certifications, which will add another value towards our society, and we can say our plants are also a LEED approved or US GBC approved stuff. Next slide, please. Okay, second concept apart from the earlier one is green chemistry, or we can call it as sustainable chemistry. So the term green chemistry was developed in 1990s, and it has been developed by American Chemical Society Green Chemistry Institute. So what generally they do, so they have invented lot many processes, design tools, and metrics by which we can means develop our processes and other practices which are very much clean or green to the industry. So what those involve, like what they have developed one process of mass intensity prediction calculator. This particular tool is used by pharmaceutical industry to calculate how much of API is generating a pollution or waste per kg to the society. So like what we else means in nutraceuticals also we can use the same tool by having some modification done. So this is again a very interesting tool. Many of the companies are using it. The bigger organizations like BASF and other companies trying and developing their own tools to start this kind of practices towards the sustainability. Now, the what is the goal of green chemistry? So, goal of green chemistry is to design the chemical product and processes that reduce or eliminate the use or generation of hazardous substances to be more resource efficient and inherently safer design of the molecules, materials, and products and processes which generally get followed in the manufacturing processes or developing of the new product at R&D stage or developing of the active ingredients or excipients during their manufacturing. Now, ACSGCI is working on the 12 different principles. Basically, first is prevent waste, then maximize atomic economy, then design less hazardous chemical synthesis, which I already talk upon, then design safer chemicals and products. Again, that particular tool which I have mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. Fifth one is the means we can eliminate the use of the solvents in the reaction processes. We can make it more means we need to eliminate the solvents use and try to make the system hydroalcoholic if it is not at all possible to eliminate the solvent. So it will be means the entire effort is to make it sustainable or to give less pollution to the society. Then we need to maximize the energy efficiency. So these are the basic principles which we got to taught in the our schools as well. Then use renewable feedbacks, avoid chemical derivatives, use catalysts to fast track the reactions. So this will, if we fast track the reaction time is lesser, our required energy is less compared to means not using the catalyst. Then design chemicals and product to degrade after use. In other words, we can say biodegradable things need to be developed. Then analyze in the real time to prevent the pollution. Then minimize the potential for accidents. So bare minimum risk need to be involved while we operate or while we manufacture the products, while we design the products in R&D, while we analyze it in the lab. Next slide, please. The most important aspect is packaging design and the material which entire world is talking about. Now, what is the sustainable packaging means to us? It means sourcing, development and use of packaging solution that have minimal environmental impact and the footprint. If you see our blister packs, our this HDP or PET containers, they are adding a very nuisance to the industry or nuisance to the society in terms of the sustainability. But there are few challenges why we are not easily getting shifted to biodegradable packing material, because we have some stringent regulation. Like in India we have FSSAI. Okay, so very stringent. One of the example is our product need to be stable till the claimed shelf life, so we need to have such kind of packaging by considering the sustainability of it. So second important thing is our packaging has to have a temper evidency or temper resistant packs. So these are some basic or challenges our entire industry, packaging industry, is facing. But by considering all these challenges and the aim, now scientists have discovered this very interesting laminate. This is polyolefin laminate. So it's a laminate, and lot of still research is going on how we can leverage maximum out of it. I can understand right away it's little bit costlier when we compare to our existing availability of the packing material. But overall, if you look at in terms of the volume, uh, if in which we want to get it on board for our packing purpose, it will save a commendable or very good amount of cost as well. Next slide, please. Now, the key points which we need to consider for sustainable packaging or designing of the sustainable packing material. First of all, it should be beneficial. Second, and the most important aspect is it is safe for product per se. And again, the when we say product per se, the actual product is getting packed into it, the product is getting coming contact in the packing with the packing material. So such products need to be safe for consume for the consumers. Then it has to meet the market criteria for the performance of the cost and other things as well. It need to be easily sourced, manufactured, transported, and the most important thing is it need to be very easily recyclable as well. Then manufactured using clean production technologies and best practices also need to be considered while developing a sustainable packing materials. Then made from materials which are having healthy throughout the life cycle, physically designed to optimize the materials and energy, effectively recovered and utilized in the biological or industrial closed loop cycles. So there should not be any chance of cross contamination and other things. Next slide, please. So again, in summary, means what makes a package sustainable? Sustainably sourced material means materials need to have clear certifications, green disposable options need to be there. Optimized packaging means we need to optimize the usage of packing material. There should not be unwanted usage of the packing material which are not sustainable, and we need to optimize it. The quantity and the quality of the material need to be evaluated while selection of the packing material. And the last one is in the means long-term cost efficiency. We can make a very good packing, sustainable packing material, but that need to have a very cost effectiveness. So this covers all the package sustainability, or how to make a packing material sustainable for the society. Next slide, please. Last is recycling networks. As I mentioned you, recycling network consisting of two different aspects. One is supply chain aspect, and how even after usage of the product, how we can reuse those leftover which is not getting recycled. So nowadays lot many EV vehicles had come, so maximize the usage of EV vehicles for the transportation of each and every good, incoming goods as well as FGs to the depots and further distribution. That is a very good thing which we all need to follow. Now second thing is, as we see, nutraceuticals or OTC industry is also going at very high pace because of self care, or people easily do not want to go to the doctor in first attempt, and they are trying to manage on the self care. But there are several challenges. Hence OTC can't give, for an example, in tablet case, OTC organizations can't give a pack of tablets, maybe 15 packs or 15 tablets or 20 tablets, 5 tablets, 2 tablets, in which a usage of these kind of packing material is very high, and it is creating again one kind of nuisance to the society. So we should avoid these kind of packaging as well. Very good example like Reckitt Benckiser and Novo had done. What Reckitt has done, they have started a operation or mission, Healthy You, where they have set up recycled collection units for the products which get sold by Reckitt. uh, the leftover like containers, the sachets, the leftover packing material need to be dumped in those recycle units, and those means Reckitt has a tie-up with TerraCycles, and they are very well managing. Means they already made a good attempt to manage all their waste to recycle it. The next interesting example is Novo. Their in case of their insulin pen. So insulin pen as active ingredient is insulin, but it is get packed entire into a plastic thing. So if I want to tell, they are using 77% of plastic in the insulin pen device. But nowadays that particular pen is getting recycled with a tie-up with the organization, and they have worked upon with the Danish designer company, and they found out a way to use that plastic remained or used from the used insulin pen to make the other things, household things like chair, table, and all. So this is and again a good attempt to utilize the leftover from the industry. Next slide, please. Now, if I want to talk about ISO certifications in packaging and environment, so ISO also made an very good certifications like uh, exclusively for the packaging thing. Means if we buy the material from the vendors or the packing material suppliers who can provide us these certifications, means they already got an reused material, and they made the packing material from reused material, or uh, one of the certification 18602 talks about the optimization of the packaging system, then 605 talks about the energy recovery, and finally organic recycling. As we all know, the packaging industry uses lot of solvents for manufacturing their stuff. So what they are doing of their solvents, so ISO is tracking them. If any packaging vendor is interested, they can obtain these certifications, and it will add value for the towards the sustainability. So my insistence is to select those vendors who are already having these kinds of certifications with them, so we can add indirect value towards the sustainability. Next slide, please. Now again, these are the very basic points, but these are very important points. Means wherever possible, get and use ingredients which are derived from plant, because those are very easy to recycle after usage or after leftover. Okay. Uh, Now maximum companies or organizations are already get into it, and they are trying to use more and more ingredients. Maybe it might be a therapeutic ingredient, it might be an excipient in the nutraceutical category, which are directly derived from the plant base. Then the most important thing is ki, as like ISO, there are certain certifications again available. We can buy the raw materials from those particular vendors who already have these kind of trusted certifications like vegan, vegetarian source, non-GMO, then kosher, halal. All we are doing it, but my point is, let us leverage these kind of vendors or these kind of certifications in very big amount or in very big quantity, so we can indirectly contribute towards the sustainability. Next slide please. This slide I think explain self-explanatory. So anything which means we can say to anyone ki both you need to start it, but what my principle is or what I am following or what we are following in our organization, we are celebrating Earth Day every day in our organization. Before selecting any raw material, before selecting any packing material, each and every our employee is thinking twice ki whether this particular raw material, whether this particular packing material, whether this particular supply chain model is adding value towards the sustainability or not. So this is from my end. Thank you once again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Rahul, for that very insightful presentation. I think it really highlighted how embedding sustainable sourcing, manufacturing, packaging into production processes is a must-have and not a nice-to-have. And you really highlighted lots of different ways that brands can achieve their sustainability aims, from certifications to materials. And I think we can all agree that there are challenges to achieving that. So mixed materials, you pointed out, that's one. A lack of recycling options and infrastructure is another. But there are solutions out there too, and it is a journey, of course, that we are all on. I have a few questions for you, Rahul, but before we get stuck into them, I'm going to hand over to Nandini for her presentation, and then we'll recoup back afterwards for the live Q&A session. So over to you, Nandini.
Thank you, and thank you, Rahul. I think most of the pointers that actually I also wanted to discuss is somewhere covered in your presentation. It was more from the industry perspective, business perspective. I would like to talk more about from the customer perception. So there is now no doubt that there is a fundamental shift in consumer expectations, sector after sector. And yes, nutraceutical is now the focal point of the discussion, as it is pre-assumed to be the linked factor or directly linked to eco-friendliness or sustainability. When consumers go into the retail aisle, they already know that if they are buying something new, something naturally fundamental, they expect it to be sustainable, which of course is not true right now. In a very first slide, if I would like to shift the slide to number 1. Please shift the slide. Yes. So here we can see that when FMI did a survey last quarter, it was specifically for the overall food and beverage industry, nutraceutical industry, and we just wanted to understand what exactly is the trend across the generations, not just in India, not just in Asia, across the globe. What exactly people are thinking about, considering their per capita expenditure and the interest that every age group is feeling. We can clearly see here that the overall industry, the pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, or the F&B industry, have shaped kind of a new, more sophisticated gene of customer. Healthy, sustainable, and cheap. These are all words used to describe what customers are demanding for nutraceutical products across the globe. And every now and then we hear of a new startup or a new brand in the field coming up with an entirely different ingredient, an entirely different packaging, or a format. But as a business, it is challenging for even the MNCs or the startups to survive this continuously shifting change and the mood of the customer. And as the market is already highly competitive, it is difficult for the brands to gauge an idea of where to focus and whom to focus. And that is the reason we wanted to have a diversified range of trends and to see what should be the immediate focus and which are the trends which can be next in line. So here we can clearly see the highlighted trends across Generation Z, Millennials, X, Baby Boomers. They want to focus on eating healthy plant-based food. Packaging is of course the key. They will most likely are going to read the labels, the nutritional claims that the nutraceutical or pharmaceutical brands are providing in their packaging format. They are concerned about the ethics and whatever transparency a brand is highlighting into their packaging or labeling. They need more convenience. As Rahul clearly said, they want to understand the ingredients that are easy to maybe read, easy to understand, or even if they know the ingredients. The ingredients should be natural, they should be vegan, organic, and now the trend is you cannot just highlight it to be organic. You have to mention the certifications that you have gained, or you have to clarify the process through which it has been sourced. Health is wealth, of course, for Generation X. We understand after COVID how much health is important to us, and any supplement that is there into the market, it needs to be clearly highlighting that it is very effective. It is with respect to a particular health condition. It is solving a particular problem. It has to be solution oriented. Now, gone are the days where you can just come up with a vitamin C supplement. You have to tell what the vitamin C supplement will do, which are the ingredients which were used to make the vitamin C supplements, where they were sourced from, and why certain packaging format. Healthy aging is something which is largely discussed. I have been to a lot of conferences with Vitafoods as well, where this healthy aging has been discussed time and again. A lot of brands 5 years back, they used to say we have anti-aging supplements, we have anti-aging products. Now this anti-aging has been shifted to the term healthy aging. So why is the trend so? Is because there is nothing called as anti with aging, right? So you just have to get the right formulation with the right packaging and dosage, and just give a clear information of whether your product is supporting glowing skin, healthy hairs, healthy eyes, healthy bone, joints. So the concept of anti-aging is lost back then. So these are very small things, but this is something that the brands, manufacturers should focus upon, because the terms that you use, if you are using natural or organic or vegan very loosely, the customers will know. If you say it is anti-aging, the Generation X, the baby boomers, they will not like the word anti-aging now. I will talk about the dosage form later on into the presentation as well, because it is somehow related to packaging and then sustainability as well. But yes, for now, we can clearly see from the slide, there are few highlights which are the talk of the town. And these are the trends which should be focused upon by the brands who are already established. They need to change their messaging as per the trends that the customers are setting up. Even though a product can be positioned as a mass or an economy range, but it should shout out the premium functionalities that they can give. So these are the trends. To the next slide, please. So this is something which Rahul already discussed. So I'll just walk you through the slide. When Future Market Insight asked the customers, this was specifically done for the Asian customers. So which are the factors which affect the buying decisions of the customers? So you can see in the left chart, the factors were taste, the product having all natural ingredients, health benefits, big brand, customer having knowledge about the product, and the pricing. And the clear answer that we got was a product should be natural, real, and recognizable ingredient. 44% of the total sample size is cited that chemicals in nutraceutical as are the most important food safety issue to them, while 39% noted that any sort of artificial flavor or ingredients is a no-no. This basically means that you cannot make your product attractive by adding taste or flavor or color or even shape. You just have to tell the customers what the real ingredients are. Taste is important, pricing is important, but they are just not the only decision-making factors for the customers. Taste and price are just the gatekeepers. However, they no longer differentiate the winners from the rest of the pack when we talk about all the brands in the aisle. Customers, they want to move away from the lab-based food to food-based food. So when you say natural, organic, sustainable, then the product should highlight that. Artificial flavors, artificial ingredients, any chemical processing technology used to put a tablet or a powder into a very innovative dosage form will not work. A simple box of powder, a simple capsule will work. It just have to showcase the functionality that they can give or the solution that they can provide to the customers. So when we asked to the customers across the countries in China, Indonesia, Japan, India, Philippines, that will they be checking the nutritional claims? So you can see here that in China, 57% of the people chose to check nutritional value and the potential impact of that nutrition on their health. So we can see that it is a very serious issue now. So the product cannot be made attractive if it is not effective. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Yeah. This slide basically highlights all the packaging related trends or claims that the customer wants to see in the packaging. Again, Rahul did cover all these pointers, but I'm just highlighting that the shoppers, they feel positive towards the company that only use packaging that is recyclable or biodegradable or compostable. And specifically, the millennials, they prefer the company with a purpose. You cannot just tell that I'm sustainable and we are going green. You actually have to prove the customers that you are reducing waste, you are trying to reduce pollution, protecting natural resources in some kind of the other, whether through packaging, whether through raw material sourcing, or even forestry initiative as well. So you always have to come with a purpose. So millennials expect clean, recyclable, and plant-based approach when it comes to packaging. However, packaging is something which is very much discussed about when we talk about sustainability, and a lot of even FMCG companies, nutraceutical brands, they are trying their best to mitigate the risk, lower the costing, and follow all the recent trends of eco-friendliness and sustainability. And governments have also started to respond to the customer expectation. So when we see the regulations, we see that there is a lot of things which are happening into sustainability, circularity, eco-friendliness with respect to the government of the countries as well and the companies too. But then when they say that they recycle the most, what does they mean exactly? Theoretically, recycling, sustainability, it is the process of collecting and processing material that would otherwise be thrown away as trash and then turning into new products. So if all these countries, the big developed countries, developing countries, they are claiming that they are recycling, they are being sustainable and going into an eco-friendly environment, then why is their landfill also very significant? We have huge amounts of landfills and unrecycled packaging material or even the final products which are lying around into any country that we can see. So we need to understand here that apart from government policy or initiatives, currently many companies, whether they are food, nutraceutical or even packaging companies, have their sustainability efforts primarily focused internally on improving efficiency, cost, and waste reduction. Because when it comes to the manufacturer sustainability idea, the only thing that is trending right now is that if you are sustainable, it is somehow costly, or it is somehow not affordable, or it's not efficient. So the primary focus of all these big companies is to improve the efficiency, cost, and then the waste reduction. The initiative has very little to do with the application of innovation solution across the substrates. So hence there is an inevitable gap between the need to support sustainability into nutraceutical industry, specifically packaging solutions, and even for the retailers and the range of initiatives being taken by the packaging converters, there has been a lot of gap. To fill the gap, the very least thing we can do is to standardize what we mean by sustainability across each node of the supply chain. And luckily, we do have a term for that, circularity. Sustainability in circularity. If I talk about the overall sustainable packaging industry, not just nutraceutical, so it is now almost a $60 billion industry, which is growing at nearly 4 to 5% annually. So, which we should now can easily categorize into a recyclable industry, biodegradable industry, and compostable economy. When we have these three definitions clarified, it will help both the brands, the manufacturers, and the customers to understand how the product is being managed, packaged, and then sold into the market. It is not just about using the term sustainability. It is about how we are recycling it, how we are using the materials or products into biodegradability, and then after using it, how we are composting it. So the definition of sustainability in nutraceutical industry, it should now be upgraded to more technology oriented with digitization across the value chain. Sustainability now involves increased use of life cycle inventory or life cycle assessment softwares to help and guide the use of any kind of raw material, packaging material across the logistics and the supply chain part, which can actually reduce the environmental impact or ecological footprint. Every individual along the supply chain, from the customers at the end, back to the retailers where they purchase the product, to the brands that fill the shelves, and to the manufacturer and raw material supplier. Every node of the supply chain has the responsibility to ask the question, where did this come from and how was it made and who made it? It is actually not the responsibility of the customer, but the players who are operating across the value chain. Each supply chain actor should have a due diligence process surrounding each ingredient in their formula or recipe. And this is already applied in health and safety and food safety context. We have a lot of stringent regulatory policies for the packaging part, for the manufacturing part, and even the import-export part as well. And we see this becoming more and more applicable in an environmental and social sustainability context with respect to nutraceutical industry as well. So if you already have risk assessments, safety documentation, or supplier data for ingredients, environmental and social safeguards can be added to improve your business practices. So companies need a globally harmonized definition of environmental, social, and governance, what we call it as ESG, which is, I think, lacking at this stage. It has been worked well in certain sectors. Food and beverages industry has a lot of regulations kept aside right now. Pharma industry has also worked a lot into this ecosystem. Dietary supplement, nutraceutical is something which is still new to the idea because we are chasing the market trends and we are not understanding that the trends are directly related to going green and understanding the eco-friendliness of the target market. So, and oftentimes today, sustainability isn't considered during the initial R&D phase of the product development. It is largely focused upon what innovative ingredients we should choose, how the packaging will be, what the dosage will be. As I said earlier, just to mitigate the cost and the efficiency and then the product wastage. But then companies should respect this consumer attitude and respond accordingly. Next slide, please. Yeah, here in the slide, we can actually see that how sustainability and ethics is important. So a vast majority of consumers must know or would like to know about a range of practices prior to purchasing nutraceutical products. So when we ask the people what kind of practices they would like to understand from the manufacturer's perspective, you can clearly see that they do said that they want to understand what are the product ingredients, what exactly is the manufacturing process, and then the sourcing practices. So as we have discussed it time and again, just putting a label of vegan, natural, organic will not work. You do have to tell the practices that you are adhering to. You do need to clarify how the logistics work, because even the customers know that it is right now not easy to have a sustainable logistics. COVID did taught everyone, the customers, the brands, everybody, what logistics is all about. But 3-4 years back, a customer like you and me might not think about the product which is lying in a warehouse in, say, China. But now, if they know that the product has been lying around in China warehouse, they will have a concern. They would like to understand what is the date, what is the shelf life of the ingredient, or what is the chemical composition of the ingredients before consuming it. So as indicated, starting in 2020, consumers will begin to replace any consumption habit which they have in the past with respect to flavors, and they would like to shift into more mindful purchases. More and more customers will focus on ethically raised products. And here, the manufacturer, the brand can only take an activist approach because the consumers will turn to the companies who will be the leading force for the change in the next 10 years. And any big MNC or a startup who just wanted to claim and then sit aside will not gain customer loyalty. Customers need to see a leading from front approach when it comes to ethics. So yes, if I just have to give a summary of how the overall industry should go upon. So there are the two key topics of discussion while we talk about sustainability in nutraceutical industry, which is at least relatable to consumers easily. It is the raw material sourcing and packaging. And these are the two easiest approaches through which a brand, whether they are a startup or a MNC, can start working towards it. Build your product considering what your target market is. Do not follow a trend blindly. One shoe will not fit the other. So the product needs to be built up with respect to the message you want to give to your target market. So the brands need to focus upon that rather than blindly following a trend and not being transparent about it. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Nandini, for that really great presentation. And it's wonderful to have some insights into consumer preferences and how these change depending on the demographics, and also to see how they change depending on the country as well. There were some quite wide discrepancies there. So we have time for one question each to both of my speakers. And so Nandini, I'd like to start with you and really thinking of, I mean, I'm sure a lot of our audience they're business people in the nutraceutical industry, they're manufacturers, they're suppliers, and they're listening to your presentation and they're thinking, yes, it's so important, consumers want it, but this has a cost. And so my question is, essentially, is sustainability commercially viable? How can manufacturers make this work for them, given that we're in, an inflationary context and there are pressures coming from everywhere?
So just to give you a straight answer, yes, it is the sustainability is commercially viable, but then on the same time, the regulations and the policies that the governments or the regulatory bodies across the world are coming up with, they are more suited towards the big companies who have the chunk of the money to change their entire value chain or to change their entire distribution channel in a day. It will be a bit more difficult for the small and medium enterprises because it is them who have to face the ramification. Mostly the large companies will get advantage, particularly in the short time, by developing or deploying due diligence processes, which are actually hugely expensive. So I believe that with respect to sudden changes in policies, there should be an option for small and medium-sized enterprises to be able to adhere to the reporting standards, however, at a specific time frame or on voluntary basis. But yes, when it comes to the technical answer, is it possible? Yes, it is. For the nutraceutical industry, sustainability means responsible ingredient sourcing, creating vegan, vegetarian, plant-based formulations, examining the processing method and packaging, as well as minimizing energy use and wastage. So this is not something which is unachievable. The companies who wants to start, they can start step by step. Environmental sustainability and affordability should not be mutually exclusive. The key to a successful sustainability strategy is to identify target areas and have system to measurement put in place from the outset. This means that you can track the progress in the areas that you have chosen to concentrate or improve. In some instances, for example, switching to a renewable energy source, it is very easy to determine the return on investment. However, for some other sustainable practices, it may be more difficult to quantify the return on investment. And this is the reason that vigorous measurement and reporting is important in this area. Rather than just claiming, you have to track the data and regularly report. It will be easier to make inferences and to see the trend, following the trend and how the trend has an impact actually. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that answer. And Rahul, so you obviously focused on packaging, and you mentioned two different kind of I suppose, methods that companies can use to achieve sustainability. So one was focusing on the recyclability of plastics, and the other was on the use of biodegradable materials. And I'm interested to know, which of those two options do you think can help brands achieve sustainability goals faster?
Okay, so I will start with the biodegradable option. So for the plastic material, we have now lot many biodegradable options. Say for an example, if I want to give you some practical example, which entire means most of the industry players are now started following it. We are using shrink films for goods to be wrapped. So earlier people used to use some means non-sustainable ingredients, but now the film which I have mentioned is a classic example of biodegradable film, which can be easily available in the shrink format as well. So this is an approach for the usage of biodegradable thing. And second, can you just repeat the first question once again?
So biodegradables or recyclability of plastics, finding ways to recycle plastics and I suppose invest in that infrastructure.
Okay, so in the plastic recycling, I have given two examples during my presentation. One is Reckitt example, and second is no example. So both those examples are quite interesting examples. Now, third example, if I want to give you, even in India, we started now for the collection of empty PET bottle thing, and the collectors or the collection device is placed in very public many collection devices are kept in the public areas where people can put their used plastic things, and it goes for the recycling.
Okay, well, thank you very much for those insights. And I'd like to thank you both for joining us, for sharing your presentations, for sharing your expert knowledge. It's been a pleasure learning more about this topic. To everyone listening in, to our audience, remember that you will receive the speaker presentation slides as well as a recording of this webinar in a few days. If you have any questions, then Nandini and Rahul will be happy to answer them by email. And I hope to see you all at Vitafoods India in Mumbai in February. It's the must-attend event for the Indian nutraceutical industry, and it's not to be missed. So remember that you do have the registration link to sign up in the webinar chat box. So thank you again, Rahul, Nandini, to everyone watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.